Right, welcome along, ladies and gentlemen, to your last round of your SIMseniors season. We've had a championship battle spun over the majority of the season. We will head to the final round with a title battle on our hands. My name's Joseph Black. Of course, I am not Benjamin Dapsford, as would normally be taking you through the action, but I will be bringing you through all of the racing that we've got for this evening. David Lindblom leads the standings overall. We've got championship battles in both the bronze and the silver championships, but without further ado, we'll take you to the pre-race info, and this is the calendar that the drivers have managed to compete their way through. Of course, started at the end of January in France. We are now ending off at the end of March in Austria. And, well, it's been a very, very good season indeed. A very tight season, all things considered. And, well, it should be a very, very good day of racing. And, well, we will see. Of course, as I say, we have done all of this racing throughout the course of the campaign. And we'll be finishing it off this evening. Going to throw us back very briefly to this one, because I want to talk about the drivers that we've got in each of the respective categories. Now, of course, the Silver Class Spotters Guide is what we've got right here. This is all of the different cars that we could be having, we could be seeing throughout the course of the evening. Keep an eye out on, well, James Payton, the number 248, who leads that championship right now. We've got Tomasz Linatas, who also in the number 12 is competing for that title. Just the 17 points off of your Silver Championship leader. And then if you have a look at the bronze class, which is a little bit clearer, there's a little bit more day for Alex North, the number 207, but on the whole it should be very, very good. And then we've got our gold class, which is the closest one by far. And, well, that's if I can bring it up. That's if I can get it up. There we go. I'll be able to get our gold class up, and, well, it's David Lindblom who leads the way there on 258 points, just the 9 ahead of Max Grossegesser in that second place, and Frederick Gehamar in third. 11 points splitting the top 3 in the series. Without further ado, then, we're going to go trackside and we're going to have a look at our racing circuit that we've got on our hands. We've teased it a little bit. There is your confirmation. We'll be racing around the Österreich ring, we'll be racing around the Red Bull ring, and we've got our first few lap times on the board already. It'll be Wayne Bowler at the top of the standings at the moment with a 1 minute 29.367. Kreutsch just behind. And, well, we haven't been able to get the fancy graphics that Sappi normally has, but I'll be trying to keep you on top of everything as much as I possibly can. There is the situation at the moment, and there is some of the ballast that's been taken. You can see Alex North has taken 25 kilograms of ballast, Wayne Bowler 20, Rich Arscombe 15, and Daniel Kreutsch has taken 10. So it should be a very interesting season indeed, or a very interesting season finale indeed, as I say. And, well, we'll head right into it and we will watch on with, I think, well, this is the man in second place in the championship on 215 points. He's joined with 3 different drivers, is Wayne Bowler at the moment. Rich Arscombe and Daniel Kreutsch are the drivers he is in a fight with at the very top of this field, or in P2 more particularly, because Alex North is the driver who's been able to take the championship lead and currently stands in third place in this qualifying session. And, of course, it is 10 minutes for the bronze drivers, 10 minutes for the silver, and 10 minutes for the gold drivers. We'll be following right afterwards. So this is the bronze drivers' attempts at seeing what they are going to be able to possibly do at the start of this qualifying session. Then we'll get, of course, the rest of them, as I say, will be filtering their way through. And at the moment, North in that third place, behind Bowler, behind Kreutsch. They're all improving throughout the course of this session, and so we'll see where they end up. We've got 14, in fact, drivers in the bronze class this evening. Holmes has not been able to set a time. Everybody else with a time on the board so far. This Moix with the slowest of all, with a 1 minute 31.162. And Bowler with the quickest of all, a 28.8 a lap time for himself. The Ferrari 1-2-3 at the top of the field, looking very, very strong indeed. We're going to go properly trackside because I didn't quite realise we weren't trackside. We will go fully trackside. You don't have to watch me for too much longer because you'll get to see the cars on the circuit and we'll get to see them go racing for the last few minutes of this session, as I say. And Wayne Bowler is at the top of that field. Everybody else hoping to compete with him as Greuche has headed on to another lap. 3 minutes 30 left for the bronze competitors to set their times. And well, this is a championship that I've been keeping an eye on for a rather long time now, with all of the racing. I hope Ben isn't ill. Ben is not ill. I know that. He has a commitment he cannot back out of, unfortunately, which means he's missing the finale of the SIMseniors. And so I get the opportunity to take you through all of it, and it's very exciting to be able to get that opportunity, because this is a championship I've kept half an eye on for a very long time, and because I know Ben's lauded it and talked about it very, very positively, so it's very, very good that I'll get the opportunity to take you through all of the racing this evening. 2 minutes 46 left in the session, with the lap times coming in being 1 minute 28 to 31. That's the slowest to the fastest. We'll get the chance to see all of these drivers at least doing one more lap time. All of them have set times now. Holmes came in with a 30.736, and he's going and improving once again. He's in that second sector, and well, we'll have a look at all of the other drivers throughout the course of this evening, I am sure, but here's the closest one to the line with the biggest improvement of all, and well, he hopes to go up from 13th place to any other. He's managed to find 8 whole huge tenths of a second. And well, he will come through to the final couple of corners, and the number 109 will come to the line. What will he be able to set for himself? He's 13th place at the moment. He's found a lot of time, and he's managed to get himself up to 8th place. Fair play. Very, very good lap time indeed. David Smith, very good lap time. So far, 5 tenths. Now 7 tenths as he heads through the final corner. He's going to get the chance to improve from 8th place. It's going to be a completely valid lap, and he puts himself, actually, I said he was improving from 8th place. He's improved to 8th place, because Holmes was the one who previously jumped up there, and well, Craig Nisbet the next one to it. And well, in 15 years you're old enough to join us. I'm not going to be old enough in 15 years. Just saying. Anyway, Craig Nisbet next to the line, and he's got 7 tenths of a second, and he's got 6th place at the moment. Greuche improving by a 10th and a half. So a very good lap time from the Wolfpack 431, and he's got 1 corner to go to maybe challenge for this pole position. Needs 4 tenths of a second. He's got a decent chunk of time, so he's going to get close, but I don't think he's going to get close enough to challenge for the pole. And no, he's not. He's just outside of the 28s. He's got a 29.080, so he won't be improving on that time, nor will David Smith, who finds himself in the pit lane as the session comes to an end for them. Greuche improving at the start of this lap once again. Peter Smith coming to the end of his. He's improving as well. Half a second is what the 113 has at the moment. He sits 13th with a 130.567. An improvement by half a tenth would put him in the fight for 11th place. It has put him in 11th place. With a lap time of 130.157. Craig Morrison was hoping to improve, but it's the end of the session. And now we head to the silver drivers. So the grid for the bronzes is going to be Bowler on that pole position. Greuche will be in second. Lorenzo in third. We didn't see many of them, in fairness. Foxall finds himself in fourth. North in fifth. Nisbet in sixth. Arscombe in seventh. Zimmer in eighth. And then David Smith in ninth. Holmes in 10th. It'll be Peter Smith in 11th. And then Morrison, Murphin and Dismukas to round out that field. But here come the silver drivers. There is going to be 7 of them competing for the next 10 minutes to find their own pole position times. And well, it's 7 of them out of the 15 that we've had in the championship, or at least registered in the championship throughout the course of this campaign. Julius is not going to be one of those in championship contention here tonight. He finds himself in 11th place, a decent chunk off the back of the top 10. And, well, it will be James Payton who will be the championship contender. Here is the number 248 in all his glory, hoping to find himself at the very top of the field and hoping to make his championship victory as easy as he possibly can. He has 254 points, the only driver realistically within contention of himself, as well, the reference for the points is going to be 40 for first place and 38 for second, 35, 32, and then it just keeps going down by 3 or 2 depending on the position. Well, it's going to be a 17-point gap between Peyton and Linatas at the moment. The Nissan heading through the final corner to start his first full push lap of this qualifying session. The number 12 is going to be 17 points off of James Peyton. So we'll be hoping that Peyton is going to finish anywhere 10th or below. That will give him an opportunity to take the victory in this championship. Or in fact, I think I might have done my maths wrong. I think it might be 8th and below for himself to be able to set that championship alight and to be able to snatch it off him. And that's if he takes the victory in the 254 or even in the 12. Trying to get above that total of 254 points is what he's trying to do. And heading through the first sector now, Linatas will be heading to the split time and seeing what he's going to be able to do. As I say, only 7 competitors in this part of the championship, so it's not going to be a hotly contested one, but what it is it's going to be spicy between those who are still in the fight for it. Of course, Linatas is going to be the closest to the line, or will it be Robert Homer? I think it'll be Homer, in fact, in the number 6, who'll be the first one to set a lap time on the board. Almost 3 minutes gone already. It's flying by for the Silvers, and Homer to the line will be not setting a lap time so far. He'll be going once again. Then we'll get the opportunity to have a look at the 12 to see what they can do. I think this might still be all of their outlaps at this point in time. So it's not quite the opportunity to see where they will go. Linatas will go second place overall with a 28.955. His Julius will be showing Julius next to the line. He goes 6th overall, 3rd in class, replaced by Serrano, who goes 4th overall, 2nd in class. And James Peyton, as I say, our championship contender, hoping to find his way through as well. Simon Ade into the top 10 overall, into 4th place in class with a 1:29.550. Iro Visuri, 7th in class overall and 5th in class today. He finds himself in 14th, the second off of that pole position. James Peyton then championship contender and potentially has one hand on it. He's going to put himself into the mix, but he's going to try and give it another go because that lap time was not valid. Unfortunate there for the 248. Homer, not a lap time so far, but he's coming around the final few corners to start himself off once again. And he'll be hoping to find some time. They're all finding some time. Linatas, the second driver of the evening, into the 28s. And the way that he's going so far on this lap, he could be setting another 1:28 lap time. And that would be incredible consistency from himself to be able to do the same. Robert Homer gets a time on the board of a 1:30.497. Peyton has managed to gain on himself in the first sector by 0.7 of a second. Now, that gives us proof that he lost time, or he went invalid later on in the lap, which gives him the opportunity to right his wrongs and really fly it through it and set a lap time on the board, the 248. Currently, the slowest of all, of course, in the class is Serrano, is going to go to the top. Pedro Serrano in the silver class finds his way to the top of the standings, and in fact, Thomas Linatas finds himself 4th overall and 3rd in class as Cheyenne Julius has found a time on the board to go into 3rd overall, 2nd in class. Bowler at the moment splitting the top 3, and is Peyton going to spoil the party up at the top? He's found a 2nd on the previous time. This one is going to remain valid, and it will be a 1:29.082. So 6th overall, 4th in class for Peyton, and there will be an opportunity for him later on to be able to challenge for that pole position, I'm sure. But Serrano has been able to improve even more. He's been really flying throughout the course of this qualifying so far. And of course, Pedro Serrano, 5th place in the championship. He's going to be not a shock to be at the top of the field, but it's going to be a surprise to see him challenging for the pole position, but it shouldn't be. The ballast is going to come into effect as well, and it'll be James Peyton, Thomas Linatas of the two that are competing this evening to take their ballast hits. Felix Wildner and Paul Hamby both taking hits, neither here this evening. Serrano looking to improve. He's currently improving. He's going to come up to the line and find himself even better at the top. Shine Julius is going to find time as well, so gets to just outside of a 10th off of the back. And then Thomas Linartas heading through the first sector. Peyton not improving, not losing time. He's got 0.0 on his previous lap. 6th place overall, 4th in class for Peyton. If he can hook it up around this final sector, he can start to challenge for the top 5 overall, but I don't think he's going to be able to do so. It's all about pushing the limits, and at the moment, Peyton just looking to set himself up for at least 1, if not 2, final times. Julius and Serrano both pushing once again and both improving once again. Homer, though, has found 3/10, and he might be within the top 10 off of the back of this lap. He's lost a bit of time in the second set, just on the exit of the second sector. So the number 6 will be hoping not to have a problem in the final couple of corners. That will lose him even more time. But unfortunately, I think that's the case, as he is now 0.13 up on his previous time. He's lost 2/10 in the final sector. Room to improve as he jumps up to 14th place. Who's next to the line then? It'll be the 12 of Linartas, who's found a 10th and a half. He's found 2/10. He's flying in this final sector especially, and this might be a purple final sector for the number 12. The Nissan heads up to the line and will be throwing himself up for contention at the top, but it looks as though it's going to be an invalid lap from Linartas, which means a lap time is not going to be set, and the 993 Julius has not improved. Serrano has got a lap time, beating everybody else at the moment. The 248 heading through the final sector. James Peyton is going to be drawing that session to what looks to be a close, as we've got 2 minutes left in it. So one more opportunity for them to set a valid lap. Serrano's up by a 10th. That promises for Peyton its last chance saloon, so that he's not all the way back in 8th as he heads to the final race of the season. Of course, we're going to have 60 minutes on our hands here today for them to compete. And, well, we should be able to see James Peyton competing at least for these positions. It's crunch time for the number 248 in terms of his championship charge. Linartas has not been able to challenge enough at the top of the field to really threaten the 248, but he'll be hoping to. Robert Homer finds himself up to 9th place. That's a very good lap time. What can Linartas do? Well, I can tell you, in this final lap, he has found oodles of time. 0.3 of a second is what he's up by as he heads around the final corner for the final time. 1:10 left in the session, so that will be it for himself. He goes into 3rd place overall so far. Serrano will improve even more, and that'll be a 28.440. Good lap time as Julius ducks into the pit lane. Eero Visuri will come to the line and will get a 128.907 as his best of the session, and all eyes turn back to James Peyton for the challenge for the top of this field. He's found a 1/4 of a second in the final lap. Is this going to be a champion's lap time from the number 248? Currently finds himself 8th place overall, currently finds himself 6th place in class, and he gets up to 6th place overall now. The 248 in 5th in class. Overtakes Eero Visuri, still behind our pole sitter in the bronze is Wayne Bowler. But that is very, very good indeed. And that is what he would have been hoping for, as now he can challenge a little bit further up. As I say, the gap between himself and Thomas Linartas at the top of the standings is going to be 17 points. And if Linartas was to win the race and pick up all 40 points home, then he would be able to get, as I say, those 40 points, which means that it would have to be a 17-point offset at minimum, which means 8th place or below is his hope for James Peyton. Peyton, though, has found himself into the top group. Would have been slightly nervous, but now slightly less so. And the Gold drivers have made their way out of the pit lane. to make sure they will be able to get a lap time on the board. We're missing Wolf Schlenner, who's just come out of the lane, and we're missing Grosser, who will be one of the main championship contenders for this evening, as, well, the main one will be the man in first place in the standings. In second to last, as we haven't seen Verfart either, it will be Lindblom, who will be hoping to find the time to be able to set a good, strong lap time on the board. Of course, we've seen the bronze, we've seen the silver drivers taking it away, and at the moment it's Serrano who finds himself on pole overall, Julius in second, Linatas in third, and, well, David Lindblom, of course, because he's in the lead of everybody, he's going to be having the biggest ballast, 25 kilogram hit for himself. Maximilian Grosser will have 20, Frederick Gehamar will have 15, and then Loris O'Wiggle will have 10 kilograms of ballast added to himself, and that can give advantages at this point in the championship, especially when it's so close. We're going to ride on board with Lindblom as we head through a lap of the Red Bull Ring, and we will see what sort of lap time he can put in. But you're going to be wide into the first corner and trying to get the turn in to use all of the curbing on the exit of the corner. Then you want to put the power down through turn number 2, which doesn't really exist, and then out towards turn number 3, the next biggest braking zone and the biggest overtaking opportunity on the lap that you're most likely going to get. Then you're wide again to get the turn in to put the power down on the exit, and the 888 done that pretty well so far. Another straight coming up before you head down to turn number 4. We're getting lap times being thrown in very, very shortly, but we'll see on board with David Lindblom as he heads down towards the braking zone of turn 4. More difficult than it seems because it's downhill, and you do not want to be braking downhill at the best of times or the worst of times either. And then heading through turn number 5, which is flat out towards turn 6, which is a lift and probably a brake in these cars before you head out onto the exit of turn number 6 and through towards the final sector and turn number 7. Riding the curbing on the entry, riding the curbing on the exit, making the most of the red and white striped part of the lap, as Gehamar has set a 128.225, Björklund has set a 128.385, O'Wiggle has set a 128.670, Lang up to the top, Matthias Lang with a 128.180. David Lindblom then, what can he do as he comes up to the line? He will be getting a lap time good enough for 5th place, 28.480. Room for improvement then for the lead Honda man, but not a bad start for the lap that we watched on board with. And, well, David Lindblom hoping to improve. I'm sure he will be improving throughout the course of this race session as everybody puts in another lap time, and they will be putting in another lap time. Gehamar not pushing on this lap. He's 6/10 back, so I don't think there'll be an improvement from him. Björklund behind, though. He might get caught up because he has very much got the lap time in him to be able to improve. He doesn't want to get held up by Gehamar too much. He's 0.17 or 0.16 even off the back of the 208 as they head through the first laps and into the second laps. Where is he going to be able to set his time? He's going to go very wide. Of course, you can go wide in these cars, but you don't want to take the mickey with the track limits because then that can come back to bite you. Björklund now around the final corner. Sumptuous bit of slipstream, I would imagine, from Gehamar, and it will be for Björklund the quickest lap time of all. The 4:44 up to the top instantly, almost snatched away by Lang, who was improving, but has not been able to come to the line with a valid lap just yet. So Lang will go once again. The 27 has been set on the board, and you can see the difference between the gold, the bronze, and the silver drivers. And the difference is that all of the gold drivers, apart from Engdahl, Marsh, and McNair, have already been able to out-qualify them with basically what is their warm-up laps. Then we'll be seeing Verfart, the only driver in the gold class to not be ahead of all of the bronzes, hoping to improve and hoping to get a lap time on the board for the first time. And the 707 heads through the final few corners. Will be setting a lap time after Björklund, who's on what looks like a cool-down lap, and Gehamar, who looks as though he's not been able to set that lap time that he would have been hoping for just yet. But yeah, we'll see where they stack up throughout the course of the rest of this session. 4 minutes and 25 seconds left to go, and so the majority of the running is done, but that still gives the chance for one more lap for all of the drivers, and we'll see where they go, or 2 more laps even, with 4 minutes left in the session. Bearfart, we're looking for his first one on the board, and around the final corner he will come. Is this going to be a valid lap from the 32, or from the man in 32nd place, the 707? Yes, it will, and it will be a good one as well. 4th place in the qualifying session so far. He can be pretty proud of that, and well, David Lindblom, he's going to come around the final corner, but lost a lot of time, ran wide, scrubbed a lot of time off of that lap, and so will be going once again. Wolfschleiner in the final sector. He'll be finding a lap time on the board, you would hope, you would imagine, and you would expect from the 196 to be able to jump up. He's got a 10th at the moment on his previous time, which was a 128.197. He's a second and a 10th exactly, or a 10th and a 100th exactly off of O'Wiggle. Nope, never mind, because he's gone up to 5th, 0.17 ahead of O'Wiggle this time. So very close between those two. They've got out in a nice big pack, have the Gold Runners, and so Frederick Gehamar will not be picking up slipstream, unlike everybody else pretty much on this field will, apart from maybe Lindblom and the two that are out of cycle, which will be Wolfschleiner and Grossegesser. But everybody else is going to be in that group and in with the opportunity to be pushing. Gehamar now, a couple more corners to go, has found time, has found a 10th and a half on his first lap, but a poor final couple of corners, riding over the curbing. Where is he going to be able to find a time, as it's a good final corner from the 208, and the Lexus puts himself up into 5th. 5th place for Gehamar, and that is the lap time he would have been hoping for. Lang to the line now. Can he challenge for the pole position? Yes, he can, and he can take it off of Nicholas Bjorklund, and he will get a 27.757 on the board, and the 776 is now the challenger, the main contender for that pole position. Lindblom has not set a valid time, will not be improving. And there's one more lap to go, but Lindblom backs out of it. That's it for David Lindblom. In terms of the pushing, he's going to respawn back in the pit lane. That's it done for himself. And it's almost it done for everybody else. They've got one more lap to go. I think Grossegesser is about to just about be able to squeeze his in from 7th place. I think from then on, everybody else is on their final push laps. Gehamar will lead us onto it. He's not improved in the first sector. He's not improved in the second. And when I say not improved, his improvement is by 0.000. So he's reached the absolute peak that the number 208 will be able to get. And we'll never see whether he'll be able to improve on that. Bjorklund just behind him will be able to pick up a bit of slipstream from Gehamar, who's improved a little bit. But again, another driver who's pretty much matched his previous time, pretty much maxed out his performance, so he won't be improving. Verfart down on his lap. So the next driver we're going to go to is Matthias Lang, who currently holds that pole position. And, well, I don't think he's going to be improving on that 27.757. That looks like enough for pole. O'Wiggle to the line. Yeah, he's not going to improve either. In fact, the only driver improving is going to be Colin McNair, who is going to improve, but not enough to get a position. He's going to gain 1 position, as it's taken a while to update. He's matched lap times with Grossegesser. He's 7 thousandths ahead of O'Wiggle. He's 100ths behind Wolfschleiner. That is the gap that they're going to have at the end of this qualifying session. 40 seconds left to go, so we've got 2 more laps on the board. 1 from Wolfschleiner, 1 from Grossegesser, and Wolfschleiner will be around the final corner to set a time in the 196. He goes up to 4th. Can Grossegesser spoil the party and get onto the front row of the grid? No, he's just behind. 5th for the Ferrari to just about miss out behind Wolfschleiner. But that will be pole position, heading the way of Matthias Lang, heading the way of Pedro Serrano, and heading the way of Wayne Bowler in the gold, silver, and bronze classes respectively. Now in the championship picture, that's not going to make too much of an effect, if at all, because Serrano not even in championship contention, Lang not even in championship contention, Wayne Bowler is going to just about be outside of championship contention, although mathematically just about still within it, because they get 40 points for winning a race. They get 1 point for the fastest race lap, and they get 1 point for the fastest qualifying lap. So he's got the fastest qualifying lap in class. He's got the fastest, if he gets the fastest lap in the race, and he gets the victory and Alex North doesn't get a point, then it comes back to countback. Then I don't know what we do, to be perfectly honest. Because I've never seen a championship that close, but never say never. Of course, his championship contender, difficult qualifying for Alex North, who finds himself down, well, 4th place in class. So a little bit more disappointing, all things considered. We're going to go back to me very briefly. I'm going to sit up, stop slouching, and be right there. There we go. And we can have a look at, well, we'll get a little bit more information, why don't we? Whilst we are here, and well, this is going to be the track map that, of course, we have. And I've talked us through it on board with the driver earlier on. But this is what we should be expecting. So there'll be overtakes into the corner closest to me, turn number 3. That'll be the prime overtaking opportunity. If they don't make the overtake through there, they'll make the opportunity through 4. So just a little bit down the road. Turns 5, 6, 7, 8 potentially as well. Bit too difficult to make moves in. 9 and 10 as well. They're high speed, so it'll be a gamble. But if they do it, absolutely fair play for themselves to be able to do it if they do decide to do that. The first sector is going to be the main overtaking opportunities for turn 1. Maybe a bit too tight. In fact, the background onboard will be taking us through there right now. That's turn 1. Might be a little bit too aggressive to make a move, but you can. It is possible, and so I'm sure we'll be seeing somebody give it a go. Then you head up the hill towards turn number 3. This is the prime overtaking opportunity. Later on the brakes into the hairpin, then you can get the exit and pull ahead, and then down towards turn number 4 is the next overtaking chance if you set yourself up well out of turn 3, and we'll be able to see what the drivers will be able to do. We're going to go to a brief intermission. After that, race day will be upon us. I said it was going to be brief. I didn't lie. I never lie. We'll be going to trackside very, very shortly. I just needed a bit of a drink, okay? I'm real for that. Anyway, we'll be going to the race session very, very shortly. We'll be able to get it underway. Give us your predictions in the chat. And don't be biased to those drivers who I know are in the chat. Because the final round of the season, of course, is what's going to be the most competitive part of it. Now, the season finale here in the Red Bull Ring here in Austria gives the opportunity for all of the drivers to really, really give it a go. Lots of them, nothing to lose. For some of them, especially in the gold class, everything to lose. As, well, we will see what the drivers will be getting the chance to do. We will be heading down to race day very, very shortly indeed. Less than a minute until green flag racing. And, well, we will see where we go. But in the meantime, we can have a look at our drivers, and well, we'll be watching on with all of them this evening, of course. And well, it's Lang on that pole position. It's Björklund alongside. It's Lindblom in 3rd place, and Wolfschleiner in 4th. Grossegesser will take 5th place alongside Gehamar, Verfart, McNair, O'Wiggle and Engdahl will round out the top 10. Serrano will be your pole sitter in the silver class, and he'll be alongside the last driver in the gold class, which will be Marsh, then Julius, Linatas, Ade, and then you get to your pole sitter in the bronze class, which will be Bowler. And then Peyton, Vissuri, Greutscher, Homer, Foxhall North, Lorenzo Arscombe, Nisbet Zimmer, Smith, Holmes, Smith, Morrison, Murphin, and Bismuth. And it will be this Smith, the 199, ahead of the 113 Smith. So, for reference, that will be David Smith ahead of the other Smith, which will be Peter Smith. So the SIMseniors Championship ready to get underway. We've got drivers rolling down to what will be our starting positions And, well, we'll wait and see who will be racing at the very top very shortly. Lang, ready, locked in, focused, taking the chance to just really get ready for the race session itself. I can't get rid of the chat on the screen. It's disappointing for me personally to see that the ACC TV thing, the cool thing that Ben normally has, isn't an opportunity in the base layer game. But I don't expect it to be. I never expect it to be. But anyway, we will see what will be able to occur, of course, with the slightly more rudimentary graphics that we're going to have. So I apologise for that one. But there's not so much I can do about it, because there's only so much Assetto Corsa broadcasting that I do, and it's a pleasure to be back, really, and it's a pleasure to be able to do it over the SIMseniors, because this is the one Assetto Corsa Championship I've really kept an eye on. In fact, the last race I watched on Assetto Corsa is the Assetto Corsa Competizione round in one of the esports competitions. I believe it was ERL. Which was a very interesting championship to watch. But either way, we'll be seeing the drivers heading up to the line. Lang coming through towards the third sector, and he is ready and raring to go, is the number 776. All ready for the final race in this championship. Everybody should be ready as well. We've got an hour set on the clock. And, well, we'll see where the drivers end up going. That'll be his teammate trying to follow him through alongside. There's one mandatory pit stop for this race session. And they will be taking it when they will, which I believe would be a little bit before or a little bit after halfway. Of course, they will see how the tyre wear ends up stacking up for themselves. But they will roll up to the final corner and be ready to get themselves underway. And Lang's been ready for a very long time. Lindblom's been ready for a very long time. The two Pixel Pilots drivers are so very ready to get the racing underway. And it's the final corner that beckons for the number 776. 776 leads 444, leads 888. And this is going to be an insane championship finale. The carnage is on the horizon, and we're just about rolling up to the line, and we'll be ready to get underway just after that one. The green flag will be waved, and the action will be getting underway as soon as we pass the line, and it will be green flag racing here at the Red Bull Ring. Into turn number one, it will be Lang who leads. It'll be Bjorklund under pressure from Lindblom for second place. Lindblom just about squeezed wide and just about off of that challenge for second place. Slightly further back, McNair going for a move on Gehamar. Grosgesser going for a move, and that's off the circuit from two of the drivers. McNair's been taken out. Contact with Serrano, and that is a huge moment in this fight. A huge moment in the championships itself, and McNair's been taken off. That will be the lead of the silver class handed over, so that is one driver less to be fighting for that one. Verfart in the meantime going alongside Iro Visuri, looking to the inside of turn number 4, but just about backs out. But that is the contact. That is the drama we foresaw before the race session started. Inside line beckons then for Iro Visuri, trying to go for the move. Cannot quite find the opportunity. Verfart for Greutscher, looking for the move in the background. And, well, who's going to be later on the brakes? It will indeed be Verfart, who makes the move up and might be all over the back of Iro Visuri straight away to the inside line. Good move there. And that is another position made up. And a very strong, solid move from Verfart on the first lap. Iro Visuri further up in the order. Julius is going to look for a move around the outside of Ade. Can he make the opportunity stick, or is he going to have to stay in behind? At the moment, it looks as though Julius has made his way through, and it's alongside, right in behind Iro Visuri, making his chance, making his opportunity, and making his name known past Simon Ade for 12th place. So drama on the opening lap has seen two of the contenders drop down. Serrano and McNair find themselves down the order, and Serrano especially, big impact on the way that his race is going to go. I'm going to tab in slightly because I want to get rid of the chat. Hit escape and press drive. There goes the chat. Thank you very much to you in the chat for helping me with my technical issues, because, as I say, Assetto Corsa, not my most experienced game, so that's why we still had that on the board. Those are the times for the first lap And we're going to go back to having a look at the fight right at the very top of the field. Peter Volschleiner in the 196 is going to go the long way around of Lindblom and gets his way through. Actually, that's Bjorklund who's dropped down, so a big loss of time for Bjorklund. And he's dropped down the order. Gehamar and Grossegesser side by side just behind them. Grossegesser backed out for the meantime, but he feels very, very racy at the start of this race, and it's the inside line that he's going to squeeze the man behind too. O'Wiggle going for the move. Grossegesser defending this. Don't forget, this is for crucial championship points, and Grossegesser holds on. O'Wiggle fourth in the championship. Grossegesser is second and is going to try and challenge Lindblom, who's managed to make his way into second place. He will still be challenged into the first corner. Will Grossegesser by Wiggle, but there's not going to be much that he can do. Engdahl watching this fight with a lot of interest, hoping to make his way through. Marsh the same. Linatus maybe a little bit too far back, but that's a perfect start for the Silver Championship Contenders Day as O'Wiggle on the outside line. Up to turn number 3 on Grossegesser. Later on the brakes for the Ferrari, who's going to be able to just sort himself out in the lead of this group. Marsh under pressure from Linatus, and Linatus just at the moment slotting in behind in a decent position for the time being. Much better exit for Engdahl on the back of Grossegesser as O'Wiggle has made his way through, it appears. And no, he's not actually. He's still trying to fight for this position. They will still keep trying to fight this one away. They'll still try to duke it out, and tell me not to trust the timing boards again. James Payton, in the meantime, back in 5th place in class, and will be hoping to do something in the way of fight for this championship, because he is sitting in a very, very good position at this point in time. 5th place for Payton will give him the 29 points that he needs to seal the title. Basically, he needs to not finish, I think, for himself to be able to get through, I think. I'll keep an eye on that one, though, because I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure that is the case. So it's going to be a strong task, a big task for Thomas Linatas, but he's had a very, very good start indeed, and finds himself in the top 10, ahead of a couple of the Gold Runners, and with a big gap now to Julius behind. He is chasing the drivers ahead as opposed to those behind. A good position for himself to find him in Gehamar, back to the fight between himself and Bjorklund for 4th place. He was right all over the back as they headed into turn number 3, and he's going to try and give it a go all over again somewhere soon on this circuit. It's not going to be right now, though. He's just decided do not go for that move, because he feels as though he can get it on the exit somewhere. Two very, very matched cars, of course, both of them in the Lexi. If that's the plural of Lexus, then one of a genius. Two, then that's a very, very apt name. And the two Lexi at the moment chasing through, trying to catch up to the cars ahead, of course. At the last split, it was a 0.3 second gap between Bjorklund and Wolfschleiner. I think it's a little bit bigger now between those two drives. In fact, I believe it's up to 2 seconds of a gap between them. Lexus is, yeah, that's more accurate. Anyway, Gehamar now with a good exit out of the final corner. The Lexus looks to make the move on the Lexus to the inside line potentially, but no, stays in behind. Zimmer in the meantime in the pit lane from his class. Serrano has not been in, I don't believe. No, he hasn't. So he's not going to get the benefit of the massive undercuts. Of course, he would probably run out of fuel by the end anyway, so I don't think there's going to be too much of a benefit. The inside line beckons for the Lexus, and Frederick Gehamar moves up a position into 4th place. In the meantime, O'Wiggle and Engdahl fighting away for the 2 in behind, and it looks as though Grossegesser is going to be under pressure, although he might be pressuring at the moment the 2 right ahead. Sitting in behind for the time being, so not deciding to go for any move. But this pack of 6 is very close together. Grossegesser, contact between himself and the back of Bjorklund. And the 444 will be glad that there was no spin for himself, as now the Nissan invites himself into the fight. O'Wiggle to the outside and tries to seek a gap, but Grossegesser shuts it off before the opportunity has even opened itself up. And he will focus firmly on Bjorklund ahead and firmly on making that overtake at some point soon, as we've ticked through the first few moments of this race, the first couple of laps of this race. So it will settle down as we're going to head onto lap number 5. The racing will settle down a little bit, but not if you're O'Wiggle, who pulls alongside Grossegesser out of the final corner, and with a better exit for the 317, he's going to be the main contender into the first corner. It's not all about what the defence is going to be, but the defence is going to be later on the brakes. Is he going to run slightly wide onto the sausage curbing? That'll lose him time. Yes, he is, but I don't think it's lost him enough time for O'Wiggle to really get comfortably ahead, or even alongside. Engdahl into the fight. He's going to pick up the slipstream of the 317 as they head up to turn number 3, the next braking zone. And once again, Grossegesser is relying on those brakes and relying on his ability to stamp back onto the throttle. He's stamped back onto the throttle, but he's had a bit of a wiggle on the exit of the corner. That keeps the door open for the Nissan, who tries to take to the outside line once again. And it's another corner where they go alongside. It will be turn 4 this time, where the 317 continues to try and push his advantage, but Grossegesser, with the much stronger brakes, it appears, the much more confidence on the brakes at the very least, remains ahead, still alongside through the next couple of corners. This is almost an entire lap of the Red Bull Ring remaining alongside, and Grossegesser is still the one eking out the advantage. It feels as though he's still the one in control of this battle. The only opportunity that the 317 really had was into the first corner, and now he has the outside line of the penultimate one. Gonna try and sweep through, gonna try and maybe switch back, but the 317 just staying in behind, and that is almost an entire lap side by side between Grossegesser and O'Wiggle. So incredible racing between the two, and in the end it's Grossegesser who manages to hold on to the position ahead of O'Wiggle as they head out of the first corner once again, maybe trying to take the opportunity a bit wide in the background. That will be, I think, Linatus. Oh, that will be, in fact, Julius chasing in behind Linatus. And O'Wiggle's lost time out of the exit of turn 1. Jimmy Engdahl looks to set his opportunity, looks to set himself up for the move, but again, stays in behind. But a very close battle with these drivers. Keep your eye on this fight very, very closely. We're not going to go away anytime soon from this little group, because they have been providing all of the action in the early stages of the race, and especially across the last lap. And well, they're very they've just had a very good race so far. Very, very respectful, and that's sometimes that can go missing in a fast flowing circuit like the Red Bull Ring. You can be more focused on hitting the apex, on not losing too much time, because of course it is a very short lap and you cannot be focused enough on the car alongside you. But when you are focused on the car alongside you, it can make for some magnificent racing, and that's exactly what it's just done over the previous lap. So fair play to those drivers being able to stay within the fight, and well, that is an entire lap alongside each other. 1 minute 28, 1 minute 30 I think it was. I think one of them got a 30.4 and one of them got a 30.8 because of the exit they got out of the final corner. They were able to remain very, very close, locked in battle, and they just remained alongside. On the last lap though, Grossegesser with a faster time, but O'Wiggle appears to be the quicker driver consistently, so there might be the chance for the Nissan to bring himself back through into this fight and bring himself into the opportunity to retake that 6th place, as I don't think there's going to be much fighting ahead of that group that they're going to be able to do. Slightly further back, Ade fighting with James Payton. Payton later on the brakes, or will be able to get the exit, will run very, very wide out of the corner to try and slingshot himself alongside, but in the end he drops the position, and Will Bowler in the lead of the bronze classes, trying to challenge with the championship leader of the silvers right now. So it's bold from the 1-2-3. It's bold, it's very brave, but he will still give himself the chance, and James Payton giving Linatus a full chance to really try and push and keep his championship hopes alive. Of course, as I say, Payton would need to not finish to be able to pick up this championship, or for Linatus to be able to pick up this championship. So it's going to be a tall order for the Nissan driver, but the opportunity is still right for the 248 to take the victory. The opportunity is still right for the 248 to take this final lap all to himself. And I say final lap It's not a lap, it is 50 minutes of racing around the Red Bull Ring. That's what I mean, but it's like a victory lap, except it's a victory however many laps we're going to end up having as Peyton looks to the inside of turn number 1 on Ade. Doesn't make the move. This is the difference. This is why a championship like this is so good, as Ade, unfortunate there, off of the circuit. And, well, we're going to catch a replay of that one. What happened into the first corner? I think he might have just taken too much curbing. And, yeah, he's taken too much curbing on the exit of the corner. The sausage has taken him too wide. And a bit of contact between himself and James Peyton, for good measure, has dropped him all the way down the order, out of the fight for that top group in class. He'll be very disappointed with that one, as well, the top group in the class of the bronze are still fighting away. Lorenzo on the outside, and well, will be trying to fight this one with North. Around the outside he tries to sweep, but just takes too much gravel, and he's going to drop down the order, drop down one position, and will fight with North all over again very soon. But he's got Ade, who will be desperate to go racing once again. Of course, he'll feel very hard done by, because it wasn't even necessarily his fault. It may well have just been the case of the curbing and the case of the tap on the back that he got unintentionally from the driver in behind James Peyton, who wasn't expecting it to be slower, wasn't expecting him to kind of wiggle on the exit of the corner, but that's in fact what he did. So the chance really didn't beckon for anybody to be able to move their way out of the way. And, well, it is indeed what it is. We're going to watch Victor Verfart in the 11th place at the moment, 7/10 of a second off of the back of Linatas. And, well, at the moment, decent race from himself. Has just been able to keep it consistent. Mistake-free at this point in the race is exactly what you'd be hoping for. And that's what the majority of the drivers have been able to do. As Ade now going to go for a move on McNair to the outside line. Big send from the 13 to remain ahead. And don't forget, these are two drivers who are both trying to reinvigorate their races. McNair after contact on the first lap with Serrano, and Ade as well with a similar situation. And also right at the back of the field is Julius. So something's happened to the 993 as well. Whether he was caught up in the same incident, whether it was a different incident, I'm not sure. But yeah, for all three of those drivers, very suboptimal race so far. Morrison all over the back of Arscombe for 23rd place. And well, he's going to try and give it a chance to fight for this position, as Holmes all over the back of him if he is to indeed make a mistake. Holmes, who had to be woken up to do this race, as he was in the chat before it. He said 7:54 p.m. His wife wakes him up. Isn't he racing tonight? Well, yes, he indeed is. And well, I'm glad that he's been able to make it this evening. And he's racing at the moment in a very decent stead. Currently finds himself 7th in class, of course, out of 13. So he's about halfway down the order there. So not too terrible, all things considered. And he'll be hoping to find himself a little bit higher up. But 6th place is where he is in the championship, so maybe 7th. Particularly representative. Verfart on the back of Linatas. Of course, Linatas, the leader of the silver standings, and Verfart looking to the inside line. Can't quite find his way through. And if the chat is to be believed, then Verfart is a culprit of the incident earlier on, which is the reason that the 993 of Julius finds himself at the back of the order. I'll be honest, don't remember. I was too busy focusing on Peyton having a problem and McNair having a problem. But here we are right now with this fight that's going on. Or Serrano even, not Peyton, having a problem. But yeah, Verfart just has a look to the inside line of the penultimate corner. And through the final corner once again, he's going to try and seek an opportunity to pull alongside. An opportunity to pull alongside is exactly what he would be wanting to have. But I don't think he's going to get that luxury into turn number 1. He may have to wait a little bit longer, and indeed he is going to have to. So Verfart staying in behind out of the first corner is going to give him a very good exit out of the second. And the Aston Martin pulls alongside and ahead of the Nissan, but the Nissan's still within range with the grunty engine enough to remain alongside up the hill and into the next braking zone of turn 3. Who's got the better brakes? I think it's going to be Verfart in the Aston Martin. Indeed it is. And 10th place heads the way of the 707, so he's back into the top 10, and he's back into the top 10 with a bit of gusto, with a good move to the inside of turn number 3. And he'll try and give himself the chance to push further up. 3.3, the gap between himself and Marsh at the moment. But if his pace over the last few laps is to be believed, he should be able to eke that in pretty nice and easily. And hopefully he'll be able to do that, just that. You think Leonard's just let him go? Potentially. I think that could be the case, because he really didn't fight him all that much, but the exit out of the first corner just looked too good for Vervaert, and the run just looked too good, and it did look as though there might be the chance for him to stay alongside. Apparently he did. I'm not there. I'm not in the chats. I don't know, but I'll leave it like that. Craig Morrison on the back of Arscombe at the moment. Holmes on the back of Morrison. What you'll discover is I give very non-committal answers. So yeah, say hi. Exactly. I'll give very non-committal answers to everything. Because I gave a committal answer and I got told off a few weeks ago in a different broadcast I won't mention. But I will give non-committal answers now. It'll all be nice and positive, and we'll say that it's a good overtake. Peter Wolfschleiner looking for the top 2, looking to get past Lindblom, as Lang has built up a gap at the top of the field that we expected after qualifying, but it's still good to be able to see him after the race, be able to keep that advantage up at this point in time. And he is looking around potentially the outside, but no, I think he's just taking to the curbing to try and get better turning. That's the differences between some of these cars. I think the Ferrari is able to take a bit more curbing than the Honda that runs ahead. But I also think at the same time the Lexus is able to take even more curbing than the Ferrari. So it's all just about how much are you able to push the car, how much can you extract, and how much naturally do you have in terms of your driving style. This Porsche won't be able to take the curbing as much as the Nissan will, just because it's got a higher ride height. So the Porsche just sits in behind for the time being. Might make a move very shortly, but he just needs to set himself up. Leonardis has had his pace go missing a couple of times over the previous lap time, and he'll be hoping to fight back up in terms of the times that he's got. But over the last lap, it just hasn't quite been the way that he would have wanted to go. I would have liked that to show the previous lap. It didn't. So here we are. A better exit from Iro Visuri out of the final corner will allow him the opportunity to maybe sweep around the outside. Who's going to be later onto the brakes? Earlier on the brakes, though, might be a better plan here. And it looks as though it's going to be Visuri who's earlier onto the brakes, which means he's earlier onto the throttle out of the exit of the corner. And Leonardis will try to hold the inside line. He'll commit to it as they head up the hill towards turn number 3. Both of them relatively similarly matched cars with relatively similarly matched engines. Visuri takes a lot of curbing, and I don't think that's going to help his exit all too much. But what will is the early braking, is the early turning that keeps him into the fight and alongside. And the 992 might make his way into 11th place, but Leonardis' engine is just about doing enough to keep him in the fight for another corner. Turn 5 beckons, and this is where the track narrows up. But Leonardis might have just braked a little bit too late, run slightly wide, because Iro Visuri now has his nose ahead on the circuit, and it'll be down towards turns number 6 and 7 to see who will win this battle out. And it will be Leonardis who squeezes Visuri, covers off the braking zone, and the 12 defends the position nice and successfully. Loris O'Wiggle giving it another go, this time on the back of Bjorklund. Grossegesser a little bit too far forward, and Bjorklund with a poorer exit out of the final corner, which will see O'Wiggle pull alongside, and Loris might be able to take the chance into the first. Who's going to be later on the brakes? I think it's going to be himself, because Bjorklund is going to try and sweep around, and O'Wiggle needs to cover off the line, and he does just that. 6th place for Loris O'Wiggle, 2.1 off of the back off of Grossegesser and Bjorklund. Respectful racing, and he might be able to get the exit here. So whilst he did get the exit that was better out of the first corner, he wasn't able to capitalise, but with the straight line speed through, he can get the chance to continue himself in this fight and really apply the pressure to the 317. In the background as well, Engdahl trying to look for the fight, and well, O'Wiggle remains in ahead. The 317 tries to defend the position. What line does he take? He takes the middle line, and that looks to be the correct line to take with the 444 looming in the background. He does just that, and he holds on to the position. Bjorklund committed, I think, potentially too much to the overtake on O'Wiggle, and the Red Bull branded or Swedish car of Engdahl is looking for the fight back, but around the outside he can't quite go, he can't quite get the traction, and so in behind remains the 8th place man remains the 4-4-3, and he might be able to get the exit out of the final couple of corners once again. Alongside again, Bjorklund is what he's done. Is Bjorklund peeling off into the pit lane? Is that why he's pulled to the inside? It appears as though he is. Here's our first pit stop of the race. In terms of all of the drivers in the top few positions, and it will indeed be the driver fighting for what was 7th position at the time, it'll be Bjorklund who dives into the lane. Now, the Lexus will be coming out of the lane afterwards in the thick of all of the fights. And I'm not sure anybody else is even going to commit to doing the same strategy as him. So they will just remain in the fights. They will just remain going at it. And, well, he'll try to really push forward right now, dropping himself down to 16th and 17th, 18th. He'll drop right down the order. There's going to be his work cut out for him as soon as he exits the box. Ade on the back of McNair, looking for the chance to make his move on a gold driver, of course. It's a gold driver that's had misfortune this race, but a silver driver saying he was able to overtake a gold driver is another feat all in itself. But at the moment, he hasn't quite been able to get the chance to pull close enough. He was close enough momentarily, but not too long. Craig Morrison tries to go through on Lorenzo, but just has to emergency brake, realises that he's going to have a poor exit out of the corner, realises he might well spin the car, and so he emergency brakes. Arscombe goes into his back, no harm done, and Sean Murphy fighting away with, I believe that to be Dennis Smith as well, who's on the outside line of the exit of the corner. They will try to remain alongside. Both of the cars the same, so they've got the same engines in those McLaren GT3 bodies. Is it the inside line for Smith? No, it's not. Murphy holds position, Murphy holds station, Murphy holds 23rd. Nade close to the back of McNair once again. Are we going to be seeing any more pit stops in this lap? Or are they going to be remaining out on the circuit? It looks as though Nisbet has decided to make the box, make the dive into the lane, as Ade is going to go alongside McNair. I said he was challenging earlier on, and he really is demonstrating that challenge right now, trying to go to the outside. Is he later on the brakes, or is McNair able to cover it off? He's able to cover it off, but a wobble on the exit keeps Ade with the momentum, potentially with the opportunity to jump through. Alongside he will try to be, and alongside he will not be able to get. McNair holds firm, holds station, and he is going to be holding 16th place at the moment. Further up the order, Grossegesser. We haven't seen much of him recently, but he is now on the attack for the first time in this race. Gerhamar only just ahead, but for how much longer is he going to take the chance to remain ahead? There will be alongside still as they head through towards the final couple of corners on the racetrack. Neither of them ducking into the pit lane. Both of them focusing on each other out there on the circuit. Gerhamar squeezes Grossegesser wide, and so that means he gets the better exit into the final corner. But the 134 is going to get the momentum out of the corner and may well be able to make the move into turn number 1. The Ferrari sitting in the slipstream of the Lexus. He's going to be quicker in the corners, slower down the straights, and so he's not going to be able to get the chance to make his way through just yet. More pit stops, by the way, in the meantime, and it will be pit stops for the likes of Murphy. It will be pit stops for more drivers as they head through the race. Nisbet has come in, as I say, Bjorklund's come in. Grossegesser to the inside of turn number 3. Little bit wider moment. So he's trying to pounce on a mistake from Gerhamar. It might have just been a defensive move, but it turned into a mistake with the exit Grossegesser got. But with the grunt in that Lexus, he's able to pull back ahead. Is the Ferrari going to do anything into the corner? Maybe a late lunge to the outside because the defence to the inside was from Gerhamar, but no. Behind he remains, and Grossegesser really trying to impact the race of Gerhamar right now. Surely one of them, at least one of them, ducks into the pit lane this lap, because this is losing them oodles of time. They're 8.5 off of the podium positions, and this must be losing them a decent chunk of time at this point of the race. But yeah, Lorenzo into the pit lane. Will he be followed by one of Grossegesser or Gerhamar? I don't think they will. Little bit of bait, I think, from Grossegesser. And I think in the end, Gerhamar will come out ahead. They went into the final corner very tight with each other. These look like an aggressive defence. Lindblom into the box. The driver in 3rd place. Big moment throughout the course of this race as to where he's able to come out, whether he's able to charge his way through the order and where he's going to be able to put himself at the end. Bjorklund, for reference, 11.1 seconds off of the back of Serrano, and will be in the 4:44, just chasing in behind. And now that I've said that, the difference between the drivers has gone down. But Nicholas Bjorklund chasing those positions ahead. It's a long pit stop here at the Österreich in comparison to what it could be, because of course because of how short the lap is. But yeah, they will continue this fight going on. Grossegesser is definitely quicker through the corners. Of course, that car is very, very spot on in some of the corners, and it might have been spot on through there. On the exit of the corner, the Ferrari decides not to make the move, just sits in behind, just waits for his opportunity to pounce, because he knows that he's losing time as well to the top two, and he knows he can't really afford to if he wants to take that podium position, and he wants an outside shot of that championship. Of course, Lindblom in a good position, but if Lindblom has problems, then it's all on Grossegesser, and in fairness, Gechamar to go for the fight. So this is basically the fight for the championship if there's a problem for David Lindblom, even if there's not a problem for David Lindblom, as into the box comes one of the drivers. Was that Gechamar? Yes, it was. So the two championship contenders split for just that little bit. We can get a little bit of a points update. So if David Lindblom, basically, if he finishes in the position that he was before the pit stops, he'll win the race. If he doesn't, there's a little bit more up in the air. Grossegesser now. He's not got the car ahead for company, so he's only got O'Wiggle behind as we're about to tick over halfway through the race session. 31 minutes, 20 seconds left in this one, and the Nissan looks to the outside line of the 134. Gets very close to the side, but decides not to make the move. It's not his opportunity just yet. I think this has been something very, very good indeed to see from all of these drivers, as they've been very, very patient. But is this the time for O'Wiggle to strike? No, it's not. They've been very patient. They've been very managed in the way that they've made those overtakes. It's not barging the other drivers out of the way. It's not allowing them to make their way through. It's just giving them the chance to pull alongside, and then after that, they can make their way up ahead. Are either of these drivers going to come into the box on this lap? I'm not sure, but we are seeing more pit stops as we go. Holmes and our leader of the bronze class, Bowler, both into the lane. Grossegesser continues on. The driver behind does not. So it will be Loris. It will be Loris O'Wiggle into the pit lane and making the switch now of tyres for the first and potentially last time in this race. Yeah, just had to take a little bit of a drink, take a little bit of a breather, because the action so far has been pretty much non-stop. All of the drivers giving me something to think about, something to keep an eye on in the early portion of this race. And here's another one, David Lindblom going for the move on Dismukes and has got his way through. He's got his eyes set now on Smith just ahead. And I think this may well be a move as rudimentary as the one that he made just a couple of seconds ago, that he actually made so quickly. We missed it. We missed the move because of the fact that he just breezed his way past. I was not expecting it to be that easy. But I guess when you're in a fight like that, it's very difficult to not let the car ahead go on through. And, well, they will continue their fight on. And David Lindblom will continue his chase on. He's made it within the top 10 because of the pit stops. Make that top 9 as Smith succumbs the position. And he's right into the thick of the fight. Gechamar, the latest driver, try and get through on Dismukes. Does it relatively easily. And he makes his way up a position as it's all sort of filtered out. And in fact, that wasn't Dismukes. That was Loris O'Wiggle. So an easier move on a difficult driver. That's a surprise. And that's one that I think Loris will be hoping to fight back from. He'll be hoping to take that position right back very, very shortly. And yeah, we'll see where these drivers end up stacking up in this race. But at the moment, it's looking good for them as the top 4 will be boxing. And that means everybody of the top 2 classes have come into the pit lane. Voschlener, Grossegesser and Verfart all into the box. And will be replaced at the top very soon with the drivers that we expect. Of course, we don't have the regular graphics that we have courtesy of Sapitron usually, but I hope that they are not too much of a loss, and I'm sure they'll be back for the next season of racing in the SIMseniors Championship, season number 13, which is set to be even more exciting than this one. And well, this is still a championship that could go down to the wire, especially in the gold class, because of the way that it's stacked up, because of the way that Lindblom, Grossegesser and Gehamar are poised at the moment. This could be a perfect opportunity for the likes of Grossegesser to make his way into championship contention. Gehamar, in the meantime, he's a bit too busy fighting with Loris O'Wiggle for anything to happen. But yeah, Loris O'Wiggle, in the meantime, he's fighting with Grossegesser, who's come out of the pit lane just behind. And this is a move that the 134 needs to make to keep his championship alive. Chasing in behind with the slipstream. He needs to make the move some point soon, or he can see Gehamar, one of his main championship rivals, just running away from him. But he won't be. He can't make the move. He's not close enough. His tyres aren't warm enough yet. So it's all about getting that tyre warm up and not losing enough time for the number 134 in order to keep himself in the fight for the race, for the championship lead even. Which, I mean, the gap between himself at the moment and his main championship rival, of course, Gehamar, is about 1.5 seconds. Now that could go up if he stays in behind. If it doesn't go up, then he's got a really good chance, but he needs to make his way through on Lindblom. That will be the crucial move. That will give him the opportunity to take the victory in this one, as McNair and Arscombe both into the lane. We're just waiting on Smith and Dismukes, and then we'll have everybody having boxed in this race session. But looking good for Grossegesser at the moment. It's looking better for Gehamar. Grossegesser needs to be impactful. Grossegesser needs to really be aggressive if he wants this championship, if he wants this strategy to end up working. And well, at the moment he is chasing in behind. So at the moment I'd say he's not being aggressive enough, but that could change on the flip of a coin. That could change on the dime. And well, we will see the chance for himself to potentially make his way through and then relight the championship fire that I think is spittling out a little bit because of the fact that he finds himself stuck behind Loris O'Wiggle, because of the fact that Lindblom is disappearing up the road and the gap between himself and the championship leader is increasing every single lap. He needs to really think about this one, unless he's given up on the championship. Grossegesser through on Dismukes. He's not going to give too much of a fight. Loris O'Wiggle remains in ahead. Gehamar going for the move to stay ahead. 1.5 seconds, still the difference between those two drivers. So the chances and the opportunities will become less and less and less throughout the course of the race. So he really has a good chance to strike now. He has to grab it with both hands, otherwise he'll be left ruining that after the race. He just, I mean, he's just a very talented driver, of course, as we can tell, even from the brief snapshot of this evening. He's very, very quick. He can be very aggressive. He needs to channel that right now to make his way through on Loris O'Wiggle and really set his sights on Gehamar ahead. But the gap between O'Wiggle and Gehamar has come down, so maybe it's the right thing to sit in the slipstream after all. I mean, I'm not in the car. I don't know what's going through the drivers' heads. I wish I did. I'd be a much better commentator for that. But unfortunately, I can't get in the car with the drivers and have a conversation with them about it. But what I can tell you is it's looking very, very good at the moment for these drivers, who will be hoping very soon to be able to actually make those moves up and chase down on the leading group. But I mean, if you don't quite have the overspeed to make the overtake, it also makes complete sense to sit in behind, to wait for an opportunity to pounce, because there will be opportunities, there will be mistakes made by drivers, and then he can really seek the opportunity to fight his way through. On the last lap, 0.3 slower for himself than Gehamar, and so that might spell the end of the fight for the time being. Further back in the order, David Smith. Hello, David Smith. He's looking for a move on Murfin, and he's getting very close to that move on Murfin. And he's going to hope at some point soon that will be a move that he will indeed make, and he will be able to push himself up one more place, because every position counts at this point in the season. And so that spot, that 25th spot, is what he'll be hoping for. Only Nisbet is now off of the pack. Everybody else has either been able to catch back up or has not been I don't think we've had any retirements from this race so far, so fair play to the drivers. I've scrolled down, there's nothing there, so yeah, absolutely fair enough. Sometimes I can't keep the best track of the retirements, but it's easy to keep track of them when there aren't any. So we are absolutely loving life at the moment, with all of the drivers still remaining in the competitive session, and we'll be coming to we're coming towards the latter stages of this one, so they'll be starting to think about their strategy at the end of the race. What do they do? Who do they try and overtake? Where do they try and overtake? All these sorts of things, and that will be playing on the mind of these drivers as they will tick over to what will be the 24th lap of racing for themselves. And I'm sure we'll be getting plenty more for the remainder of this one, of course, because the cars will get lighter, they will get nippier, they'll be able to head through the lap at a quicker rate of knots than they would have been before, and so they are doing a good job at the moment just to keep themselves in the fight, because that can sometimes be the hardest thing to do, is to keep yourself going, keep yourself consistent. Sometimes you can have a lapse in concentration, have a moment off of the circuit, and then suddenly you can find yourself in a completely different position. But everybody at the moment remaining mistake free, and well, I don't count lap 1 problems as mistakes, because that's just the way that lap 1 works. You know, it's just a bit frantic, and you can have moments of miscommunication. That's just the nature of the game. It's not, I don't just mean game as in this Assetto Corsa, I just mean game in general. That's just the nature of racing, as it were. As Loris O'Wiggle all over the back of Gelhamar. Here's his opportunity. Can he strike down to turn number 6? It doesn't look like he'll be able to, but they will remain locked in this fight, and it'll be the inside line for the 208 for the next braking zone. Gelhamar might be able to defend it. Gelhamar is able to defend it. Grossgesser back into the fight. There's a chance for the man in behind. There's the chance he was waiting for, and Loris O'Wiggle in the meantime waiting in behind, watching and waiting and just learning from his opponents what they're going to do, what they choose to do, what they choose not to do, and what they can force them to do. And into the first once again. O'Wiggle remains in the chase. And this has been, you know what, because obviously I've kept an eye on the SIMseniors Championship, and you never really know what it's like until you're up here in the commentary box, or until you're down there on the racetrack. You never really know the standards of a championship, but I've been mightily impressed with the standards of the SIMseniors here today. The way that they've just been able to keep consistent pace and consistently able to race each other has been very good. I don't think there's been a single moment where I went, that driver looks a bit dodgy, or that moment looked a bit dodgy for that driver more specifically. I don't think I've had a single moment like that, because of just the quality of the racing that we've seen, and this is very, very good indeed. This promises, ahem, nudge nudge, season 13, keep an eye out, subscribe to the channel, because there'll be plenty more broadcasts, I am sure, and hopefully I'll get the chance to be on another one of these very, very soon indeed. But we're not gonna talk about the future when the future's not now, because the future is the future, and it's not now. That made complete sense, because the present is just so exciting. You've got the title fight that really is going to go right down to the wire. If a mistake is made by one of these drivers, then that can open up the door for somebody else to eke their way in. And, well, even if the mistake isn't made in the way of the gold class, then they'll still get the chance to make their way in. David Lindblom, as I say, leads the way in the championship. He finds himself in 3rd place. He finds himself 3.4 off the back of Wolf Schlener for that 2nd place. He finds himself 9 seconds now ahead of Loris O'Wiggle in that 4th place. And, well, in fact, he made his way through, so a good move from himself. And, well, that is the chance that he would have been waiting or as I was talking as if they hadn't swapped yet, but of course they have swapped positions in the order, and well, he'd be very happy to find himself in the lead of these two drivers, finally able to make this move, and finally able to get the chance just to get the run and make that position up out of the exit of turn number 3, which is of course where the move was made. And yeah, he made his presence known. His presence has certainly been known and felt throughout the course of this session so far. I think Gehamar, O'Wiggle and Grossgesser have been the most visible of all of the drivers, and O'Wiggle now managing to try and eke out that gap a little bit as David Smith bears it down on Murphin for this 25th spot, and will look to the outside line of the next braking zone. The number 199 is just about chasing him behind, but he just about hasn't got enough overspeed to make his way through and make his way ahead. That will come on the exit of the corner, but that's wide from Murphin, and well, the opportunity came on the exit of the corner. Not quite how he would have been expecting it or hoping for it, I would think. But that is a rare mistake from Smurfin to allow Smith through, and to allow Smith up a position. He finds himself in the top 25. But back to these few. Well, they will continue this scrap, I think, throughout the rest of the race. Of course, they'll be thinking about the end of the race already, even though they've not even nearly made it there with 16 minutes to go. They'll have thought about the end of this race already. They'll know exactly what their plan is. They'll know exactly what they would like to do. And it's just all about executing it now. And that comes with experience. The more experience you have, the more you're able to execute it. And all of these drivers are over the age of 40. So they have plenty of experience to go around and to boot. And we will see who is going to be the one who comes out on top. Who's got the most bottle? Who's got the most nerves throughout the rest of this race? Is it going to be the championship contenders? Is it going to be a new contender? Could be anybody. It could be anybody's game indeed. And just as a point of reference for that, Lang, the leader of this race, finds himself at the moment 7th in the championship in his class. So that's very much a demonstration of it is anybody's game. Anybody at any given point could be fighting for race wins or the lead, and he is not even fighting. He's ahead of that. He finds himself in an impeccable position at the top of the field, and well, 5 seconds ahead, he looks to seek and eke that gap out as much as he possibly will be able to throughout the course of the rest of the next 15 minutes, which will be the last racing action that we will have in season number 12. Devastating, I know. Very devastating, because it has been a good season, it's been a good championship, and it's been a good-hearted fight from everybody involved. But we will see the next series of the SimSenior Championship, I'm sure, coming up very, very soon indeed. It's not like we have to wait for the F1 game cycle to hit, because we're on a better game. I can say that when I'm not on an F1 broadcast. We're on a better game. So they will be, I'm sure, raring and ready to go throughout the rest of this year, throughout the rest of life, really, in terms of being happy with this game, because this is one of the best sim games out there by a country mile, if not the best sim game. Because just there's so many things about it that are impressive. I think it balances pretty much everything it wanted to, absolutely on a pinpoint. Because you think about it, for example, you've got the likes of the realism that everybody hopes for. I'd say this game's relatively realistic, but it's still got that element of fun that you'd be hoping for in a racing game like this, which isn't a dedicated sim, quote unquote, big quotation marks on sim there, because I know that lots of teams still use R Factor as a sim, and that's our game. So yeah, it's a weird one, that scenario, but hey, I'm not the boss of them, so I can't tell them what to do. And if R Factor's got realistic settings, then R Factor's got realistic settings. I must add as well, very hotly modded. their versions of R Factor, because I've had an opportunity not to use, but to look at the sim rig that they use in one of the Formula 2 teams, and it is just literally just a plug-in of R Factor, and they've modded it and they've given it cars, the current F2 cars, and they've changed the handling model slightly and all these sorts of things. But yeah, they've been very much on their they've been very much on the realistic / fun bend. Is that the right word? They've been on the realistic / fun crossover border, something like that, for a while now. And I'd say that if you are to want to play a game that balances fun and realism, Assetto Corsa Competizione. It's a great game for that. Because you think about it, iRacing is... I personally think iRacing is too realistic. I think that removes some of the element of fun, and that's what I'm doing playing a game. Because I'm not playing a game to be a professional. I'm not going to be a professional racer. But I'm playing a game to have a bit more fun. Assetto Corsa really does that well, although we don't talk about the one competitive Assetto Corsa race I've done. Well, I prefer not to speak. But yeah, it is a very, very good game indeed. And, well, the Le Mans Ultimate game as well gives me proper promise for what is to come in the world of sim racing. Project Cars 2, no. Project Motor Racing, less so. Of course, created by the developers of Project Cars 2. That it promises me a little bit less, but a game like Le Mans Ultimate, a game like Assetto Corsa Evo, promises for the future. And the Assetto Corsa Rally game looks absolutely gorgeous. It looked absolutely incredible. I haven't played it yet. I'm may or may not be waiting until they lower the graphics requirements for the game, because it is a beefy game, but you can absolutely understand why, because it is absolutely gorgeous. And yeah, that is one that I would love to sink my teeth into some point very, very soon. Hey, you never know, it might work on my PC now and I just haven't tried it. But yeah, it is just got plenty of games to go around at the moment. It's a really exciting time to be a sim racing fan, and Le Mans Ultimate, demonstration of that. Assetto Corsa Competizione, an old favourite that I think is so popular and so good, but I think it's going to be sticking around for a while. Even with this newfangled technology and newfangled games, I sound old. But even with all of this added in, I think it's just a very exciting time for sim racing, where you can get that fun, you can get that balance of everything. You don't need to go to F1 for absolutely everything for your sim racing needs, because at the moment, and well, realistically over the last however long it's been, that hasn't been meeting sim racing needs. But I shan't get into that one tonight. If you would like me to get into that one, we can do it next time I'm on the broadcast. I'm more than willing to moan about the EA Sports Formula 1 game. But either way. Anyway, I concur, because we are heading towards the end of this race now. We are into the final 10 minutes. I've just spent the last 5 minutes ranting about EA. It feels like every single time I do an F1 broadcast. But in any case, we are towards the end of this race now. And we are towards the end of this championship, and we can start to get an idea of what the picture is going to look like. Of course, there may well be stewards' inquiries that change all of these things. You need to keep an eye out on everything, everywhere, all at once, because that's how you keep an eye on this championship. You have a look at everything, everywhere, all at once, and you might spot SIMseniors at some point. But it's been a very, very fun championship to be able to cover, the one round that I've been doing at the end of the year. And it was actually, I got the message yesterday, would I like to do it? And absolutely, I pounced on the opportunity. I cancelled any plans I had just to be able to get the chance to cover this one. Not that I had any plans, but I cancelled any prospective plans that I had, because hey, it's good fun at the end of the day, and it's a good group of people from my understanding and from the experiences that I've had. But of course, I'm going into it blind, and that's the danger sometimes. You can get sim racing communities that can feel really toxic, but this one has been, from the people I interacted with, very welcoming. So that's a testament to all of you racing, all of you watching. And it will be a pleasure to be able to come back again. That's if Sappy will let me anywhere near it. How many drivers out? I don't know how long ago you asked that question. The answer to that question, 0. We've still got all 28 drivers in this race session, and we hope to keep it that way for the remainder of this race. Just having a look at the championship picture, and I don't know whether this is going to get in the way of the broadcast. No, it's not, so I'll stick that there. As it stands, it'll be, at the moment, I believe, Lindblom taking the title home. At the very top of this field. Of course, they get 40 points for a victory, and Lindblom is currently in 2nd place in class, so he's going to be taking home a decent haul of points, or 3rd place in class even, but the 2 ahead of him are not in championship contention. Gehamar and Grossegesser, the 2 who were the closest to be able to fight here today, but Gehamar just currently edges out Grossegesser. They're both in the same shot though, so there still might be moves late on in the day for this 5th and 6th position, but the pit strategy that they've gone for hasn't really worked out for them. And then if you have a look at the silver class, and well, Lenatus leads that one. He needed Peyton to retire from the session. Peyton instead finds himself 3rd place in class, potentially making his way up to 12th place overall as well. He's in 13th at the moment. He's 9/10 off the back of Colin McNair just ahead. So he might be able to make his way through right there. And then the bronze class, Bowler leads the way, and well, it was not possible for him to be able to take the victory, unfortunately, unless the victory in the championship, at least, unless North was to retire from the session. That would be mathematically the only way, the only possible way he could still be back in. And that also doesn't count into a fact countback or whatever the championship splitter would be. Lorenzo, we've got our first action out on track for a while. Lorenzo going for a move on Holmes, but can't quite seek the opportunity on him. And in fact, it's not on Holmes, it's on Arscombe, just ahead of him. And that is a gap that's not very big, that is for sure. There is 0.8 of a second between Arscombe and Lorenzo at the moment. And Ramon looks to try and get through on Rich. Rich Arscombe, I'd say a disappointing final race to his championship. Of course, he went into it 3 drivers split by literally nothing, no points between Bowler, Kreuzer and Arscombe. But Arscombe finds himself down in 21st place overall. He finds himself down in 7th in class, and Bowler and Kreuzer will be 1st and 2nd respectively. So they look to be in a very, very good position indeed as far as picking up the points and putting themselves in a decent position comes to. But of course, Alex North, 4th place in class, all he needs to do is finish, so that is a good position to find himself in, a position that he would have wanted to find himself in, and a position that he does find himself in. As David Smith looking for moves once again, and that might be Dismukes, who is going to be unsettled, which means David Smith might be able to get through on the exit, and it will be down towards turn number 3 where he will try to seek the opportunity. The 199 will pull alongside. He's got the better exit out of the corner. He's got the better grunt in that McLaren engine versus the Porsche, and the outside line will beckon for himself, as I think also he's got a little bit better cornering speed just on that occasion at the very least. He makes his way through on the 420. Probably the most sought after number in this entire field, if I'm being honest, is the 420 Dismukes. Finds himself 14th in the championship at the moment with exactly 100 points. That would change after this race, but after this race we will see where all of these drivers will be stacking up. Of course, not long to go, in fact. 4 minutes 25 for the lead driver to be setting more lap times and more lap times, and there is not long to go at the end of this race. Apologies if there was any noise there, because I hit my headphone against the microphone. But Lang finds himself at the moment with a big gap, all things considered. 3.5 seconds between himself and Vorschleiner, and he's remained there pretty much the whole time. It's gone between 3 and 5 seconds. It's now over 5 seconds. So Matthias Lang has very much controlled the pace throughout the course of this race session, and he's going to end the season off on very much a high, as I believe that would also be his first win of the season. Indeed it will. They've been swapped between Grossegesser, Gehammer and Lindblom all season long. Grossegesser picking up just the one, Gehammer and Lindblom being consistent, and then just chasing in behind has been Grossegesser with the one win as well to take himself up to the top of that order. But Lang, no victories so far this season. This will end up being his first one, and what a victory this will end up being for the 776 if he makes it around the next 2 laps nice and cleanly. Potentially next 3 laps as well, depending on how long he's going to take. I think it's going to be very, very tight to the line, actually, to see whether Lang is going to be able to finish off within 2 laps or 3 laps, but it'll be a very, very good victory for himself. He's controlled the pace throughout the day, and you can tell he's kicked off to the Nürburgring very, very well indeed. And, well, sometimes it can be all down to the calendar, and it can be all down to the races, you know. I'm sure that for himself, if he had the opportunity to be racing around the Österreichring every week, he'd be very happy with that. But unfortunately, that's not the case that he finds himself with, because, of course, we've had plenty of iconic circuits that we've raced around throughout the course of this season. We started off the year in Paul Ricard, and I say started off the year because we started in January. The 27th of January was when we started our season at Paul Ricard, and well, that's a circuit that I know very well. That's a circuit I've been a podium sitter on, not real life, but in the Le Mans Ultimate game. Anyway, and then we headed to the United States Grand Prix, the circuit of the Americas, and don't have a go at me for my use of Grand Prix because technically it's correct. Third race of the season took us to Imola, and Iro Visuri takes himself to the outside line of Linatas. This is for the lead in the silver class, so whoever wins this one will be able to finish the season off on a high. Visuri just tries to sweep himself around. He does get the exit, but he's going to run over the sausage curbing. It's not going to affect him too much. Linatas might be fuel saving here, and I think Iro Visuri is just going to take that position nice and easily. Indeed he is. He takes 10th place off of Linatas. That will be first place in class. Linatas will fight back though, so the opportunity is not over through 4 and down towards turns number 6 and 7. He tries to take the incredibly wide line to sweep in and get through on Iro Visuri, but he might have run himself just a bit too wide, bit too much curbing there. That would have thrown the car all out of sync, and so he will be just trying to really push as we get our last racing action of the season on the circuit between Iro Visuri and Linatas to the inside line of the final couple of corners. It will be bold if he pulls this one off. Visuri goes to the outside, so he gets a much better exit as they head through towards turn number 10, and Linatas remains in behind for the time being, does not make that move up, but it might be the chance in the last couple of laps for him to make his way through. But yeah, anyway, the calendar that we've had for ourselves. Italy and Imola was round number 3 of the year. Then we headed to the Nordschleife for round 4. Indianapolis for round 5. Zolder for round 6. Netterton, Alton Park, Nürburgring, Red Bull Ring. What a season we've had. The Nürburgring and the Nordschleife in the same calendar is bold. It's been a real test of the drivers. So the Österreichring, nothing in comparison. Inside line for Linatas into turn 3. He's taken the chance, but Iro Visuri around the outside holds onto the position. Lang's got 7 seconds to make it to the line. He heads through the final corner. Is he going to lift off to fuel save and take us to the checkered flag? He didn't even need to. It's the race victory in the final one of the year for Matthias Lang, who wins for the first time this season. Second place for Voschleiner, and it will be all of the other drivers coming to the line. Lindblom will come home your champion in the gold class. Third place today was all he needed, and he's managed to seal it off in very, very good style indeed. And donuts to celebrate that championship victory. He'll be very, very happy with that one. Then Iro Visuri will be the next victor home. That will be in this race session. That will be just ahead of Linatas in the silver class. A good win from himself after a move in the final couple of laps. But our champion in that class will be James Payton, who will come through the final couple of corners. He's succumbed to a lot of pressure, but he's managed to hold on to third. A poor qualifying converted to a podium and a championship for the 13. And just behind him, the race victor Wayne Bowler in the bronze class. But the championship will be taken not by Bowler, not by Arscombe or Greuche, anybody on that podium. Alex North crosses the line to come home 4th in class, to come home with the victory in the championship. They're all going to do donuts to signal off the end of the season. We're waiting for one last driver. That's game, set and match. That's season over. And that is championship all said and done. But, of course, that is not the series all said and done. That is just going to be the championship all said and done. And what a victory for the drivers here today, for the drivers throughout the course of this season. Well, they've earned these ones. They've been very, very good indeed throughout the season. And, of course, just to keep themselves going throughout the finale as well. But that will be it from myself, Joseph Black, at SIMseniors and at Driveline Media. Thank you very much to all of the drivers who competed throughout the course of this season. Thank you very much to all of the admin staff. Thank you very much to Benjamin Sapsford, Driveline Media in the bottom left of your screen, SIMseniors on the top right. And until next time, for the final time in season 12, it is goodbye.